If you've been on the internet this week, then let's face it, you've probably seen a lot of people arguing about Chris Pratt playing Mario and Halo's weird obsession with wet floor signs. What you may not have seen is the news that Microids will be working with Taito to create 2 brand new games based on the legendary company's classic titles. That's exciting news, because Taito is the developer responsible for some of the best and most groundbreaking arcade games of all time. And as a lifelong fan, I can't wait to see what franchises will be selected. I mean, will it be Space Invaders? Maybe Bubble Bobble or Arkanoid? Look, those may be the popular picks, but for me, I'm hoping that they'll dig a little deeper and resurrect some of Taito's lesser-known franchises. Today we're going to be looking at a few of the games that I would revive if the choice was up to me. One of the things you're going to find as we go over this list is that many of Taito's classic arcade games have received a number of sequels, reboots, and remakes over the years. That's certainly true when it comes to Elevator Action, the 1983 spy thriller that was one of Taito's first worldwide hits. In fact, the game proved to be so popular that various companies have tried to add to it, revamp it, and even turn it into a weird light gun shooter. I mean, the most recent iteration was a 2011 remake released on the PlayStation 3. These updates were fine, but there's still a lot of untapped potential left in that original concept. I mean, if they want to run with the whole spy theme, the developers could toss in more exotic locations, or have us using gadgets in a villain's overly complicated lair. They could add new stages and technologies based on the different decades, sort of like you're in the middle of a James Bond marathon. With a cool art style and maybe even online multiplayer support, Taito could really do something special with Elevator Action. One of the reasons to revive a series is to give it a second chance using better hardware. That's precisely what makes the prospect of a new Chase HQ so exciting. When it was released in arcades back in 1988, the exciting concept of cops chasing after bad guys was held back due to the limitations of 3D racing. Now, in the age of photorealistic cars made completely out of polygons, I think it's fair to say that the technology has more than caught up with the concept. I would love to see what a developer could do with Chase HQ, especially if it comes with online multiplayer modes. Sure, we've seen examples of this premise done in the Burnout and Grand Theft Auto franchises, but I'm confident that somebody has a unique take that could set Chase HQ apart. And look, even if it's just another Burnout clone, so what? It's not like we're getting a whole bunch of Burnout games anymore. I say bring on the clones, and maybe slap the name Chase HQ on the box for good measure. Fans of the Pocky and Rocky series may consider it a Natsumi game, but the franchise it's actually based on was originally released in 1986 by none other than Taito. I'm talking about KiKi Kai Kai, which translates to Mysterious Ghost World and follows the adventures of Seo-chan as she goes on a quest to save the 7 lucky gods. As mid-80s action games go, KiKi Kai Kai is fine. However, the reason why it's on this list is because the franchise spawned 2 incredible sequels on the Super NES. I recently went back and played through those 16-bit entries last year for a comprehensive Game Over episode, and I was struck by how well those games hold up. It's been 2 full decades since the last proper KiKi Kai Kai installment, and I hate that the series went out on the terrible Pocky and Rocky and Becky on the Game Boy Advance. Man, Seo-chan deserves so much better. Looking over the long list of games developed and published by Taito, I was struck by just how diverse their catalog was. I love how we can go from spies expertly navigating elevators to a full-motion video time traveler without even batting an eye. Now, Time Gal is not an especially great game, and much like all of the full motion video games of that era, it's incredibly hard to go back to. However, the building blocks are there for a great franchise. Ideally, the insanely agile hero can break free of her full motion trappings and become a real, controllable 3D character who goes on an amazing time-traveling adventure. There's just something attractive about jumping through dozens of different time periods, never sticking around long enough to get bored. Plus, the original Time Gal had some surprisingly effective horror moments that really need to be fleshed out. But here's a warning, Taito. If you ever bring her back, just do us all a favor and make the gal less annoying. I'm serious here, she is insufferable. Here is just a taste of what I'm talking about. When it comes to what Taito franchise needs to be resurrected, I think it's safe to say that there's a clear winner, and that is Rastan. While the shirtless barbarian may not have been as influential as Space Invaders or have the staying power of Bubble Bobble, this hack-and-slash action hero more than made his mark in arcades. In fact, I would argue that Rastan's trilogy remains one of Taito's crowning achievements, and now is the perfect time to remind players why he was so iconic in the first place. More than anything else, this series was great at creating a fantasy world that feels unique and lived in. The third installment was especially impressive, not only because of the gorgeous pixel graphics, but also because it was presented using the same ultra widescreen display that made the Darius franchise stand out. Recent indie games like Vulgar the Viking have shown us how amazing those 2D games can look using modern technology. So I would love to see Taito revisit this franchise and give it a better, more fleshed out narrative. Look, as far as I'm concerned, we've already shot down aliens and popped bubbles, so I say the future should be full of half-naked barbarians. Who's with me? Maybe I could have worded that better. Hey, thanks for watching me talk about Taito. If you still can't get enough of me rambling on about this company, then you should know that we posted a review of G Darius just a couple of days ago. You should check it out. Now, here's the question I have for you. What Taito franchise needs to be revived? Look, they've made hundreds of games, so you shouldn't have any trouble coming up with some sort of answer, even if it's just Bubble Bobble. Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back shortly with a review of Crisis Wing, followed by The Forgotten City, Teacup, and Split. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,